Good morning, class. This is your teacher, Karen, and this is lesson 2 with English at Home. I want you to have your workbooks out and also your notebook, just in case we need to take some notes today. I'm happy to see you today, and the first thing I want to talk to you about is the date. What is the date today? So today is Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. And what's the weather like today? We've had really beautiful weather. We've had beautiful, sunny, cool weather, getting a little bit warmer in the afternoons every day. What's the weather like today? So you can answer that in a sentence, right? The weather is sunny today. The weather is cloudy. The weather is cool. The weather is warm. Think about writing that in a sentence. You could actually write that in your notes, just like we did every day when we were in class together, our morning message, right? Today is Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. The weather is, right? And then I have another question for you. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? And we can think about many adjectives to describe our feelings. I'm feeling tired, or I'm feeling happy, or I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling worried. Maybe it's a combination of many adjectives. But think about how to write that sentence, I am feeling. Many of you have been telling me, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. So think about how you would write that in a sentence. How are you feeling? Okay, we're going to talk about our homework. So I would like you to make sure you have your workbook ready, and you turn to page 79. 79 in your workbook. Your homework was to do question number 3. So I want you to look at page 79. And we were in part 3, and it was question number 3. So I'm going to read it to you again, but I want you to make sure you have that out. And also, maybe you need some notebook paper, so if you can open up your notebooks as well. And we're going to work on this math problem together, and I hope that you have the same answer I do. Okay, so it says Dora and Julian have saved $1,500. They want to buy a television. It cost $1,200. They also need a new washing machine. It cost $800. If they use all their savings, how much do they need to borrow to buy the TV and the washing machine? Okay, so you have to think about how much do they have, right? This is their savings. How much do they have? Okay, you also have to think about how much money do they want to spend, because it seems like they want to buy 2 things. So how much do they have to spend? And then we also have to think about subtracting, taking away, right? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to add. We are going to take the 2 things that they want to buy, right? They want to buy a television and a washing machine. Okay. How much does the television cost? The television cost $1,200. So I'm going to put that first. How much does the new washing machine cost? The new washing machine cost $800. So I'm going to put that second. So we have to add these numbers together to see what is the total that they need to spend, right? Or that they're going to spend. And the total is, when we add these together, right, we have 1,200 and we have 800. But this is really simple, right? It's really 12 plus 8, right, when we think about it. It's really 12 plus 8, and then we add a lot of zeros afterwards. And the period comes here. So this is what makes it 2,000, right? We go 2 spaces, and that's where we put the little period here to indicate money. Okay, so they have to spend $2,000, but they don't have $2,000, right? They don't have that. We know how much they've saved. They've saved $1,500. So now we have another math problem, right? We have 2,000, right? And we're going to subtract what they have. And this is going to tell us how much they need to borrow, what's left, right? So if we subtract 2,000, if we subtract 1,500 from 2,000, this is the total that they're going to spend, we have $500 that they don't have, right? And they need for the TV and washing machine, right? To fully pay the TV and washing machine. So they need to borrow $500. Do you have it? Did you get that? I hope so. Okay, so that was homework from last week. All right, you will have some more homework later on today. Okay, so if there are questions, you can check in with me on WhatsApp. You can email me. I want to go back a few just to show you. My email is on here. So I didn't have that on my first lesson, but my email is on here as well. And it's Karen Javits, Javits, @gmail.com. And I think everybody has my phone number and my WhatsApp. So you can ask any questions, any form of communication. You can call me, you can email me, you can WhatsApp me. Okay. All right, so let's go to the next slide. And the next slide, we are going to be talking about modals. And everyone say that? Modals. And this is a grammar term that we use. And we're going to focus on some words today that sound the same. They sound the same, they rhyme. And sometimes we don't know when to use one or the other. So the words that we're going to talk about today are could and should. And could, sometimes people have a hard time spelling it. It has a different spelling, right? Could and should. It has a O-U-L-D. And that makes the cool. Okay, could and should. We're actually not saying the L sound, right? Could and should. So the L is pretty silent here, okay? These words are similar, but they are not the same. So we're going to talk about the differences today. So the first thing I want to say is we are going to use could to give suggestions to someone. Okay, if somebody asks you a question or you're offering a suggestion, you could say, you could do that. Okay. It's a little different than should. Okay, so we'll talk more about this with examples, but should is to give advice. Okay, and should gives a stronger advice than could. Should is stronger. Okay, you should always wear your seatbelt. Right? Stronger advice. It's a little different than could. So we're going to talk about the differences here. Okay, so could. Let's say your friend needs to save money, right? Or your husband needs to save money. You can tell your friend or your husband, you could get a smaller car and save money. You could get a smaller car and save money. Or he could, right? You're talking about your friend or your husband. He could keep his money in a savings account. Okay. This is just a suggestion. This is not you should, right? This is you could. You could, or he could. Okay, so this is a suggestion. This is a little different than advice. Okay, now advice, a lot of times people will come to you, your sister, your child, your friend, your husband, and they will say, what should I do? What should I do? I'm having trouble saving money, right? What should I do? And then you have advice. With advice, you should open a savings account. You should open a savings account. So you can see that's a little bit different than could, where could is just offering suggestion. Should is for advice. Okay. So my next slide, we're gonna watch this, and this comes from our Ventures book, the student book, which you don't have at home. So I'm going to play this for you, and I want you to watch.
Unit 7, Lesson B, Modals. Could and should. Watch and listen. Could. Use could to give suggestions. You could pay with cash.
He could use his credit card.
You could wear a jacket.
They could take the bus.
He could buy it later. Should. Use should to give advice. Should gives stronger advice than could. You should take a taxi.
They should ask for directions.
You should wear a coat.
They should take the bus.
He should buy it now. Check your understanding. Complete the sentence with could or should and the verb in parentheses. You could wear a jacket. You should wear a coat.
They should take the bus. They could take the bus.
He could buy it later. He should buy it now. Let's review. Use could to give suggestions. You could get a smaller car and save money.
He could keep his money in a savings account.
Use should to give advice. Should gives stronger advice than could. What should I do?
You should open a savings account.
Unit 7, Lesson B, Modals.
Okay, so I hope that helped a little bit to explain the differences between could and should. I'd like to do a little bit of practice with you. So I took a page from the student book, which you don't have at home. So if you could follow with me, I'm going to do some with you and see if you can do some on your own as well. So it says complete the sentences. We're going to just do this aloud. If you'd like to write in your notebooks, you can do that as well. Okay, so the first one, there's an example. It says, my rent is going up again. What should I do? So here we have the word should in the question. If you have the word should in the question, your advice, your response should have should. So we're going to use should. Okay, here's my advice. You're a good tenant. Do you know this word, tenant? This is a person who rents. You're the renter. You are renting the apartment. Okay, you're a good tenant. I think you should talk to your landlord. Okay, so we have the word should used in the question and in the response. Okay, so that was the example. Let's try number 2. I have to fix my credit. What should I do? Okay, so this is a question and it's asking for advice, right? The person is asking for advice, and when we have advice, when we're giving advice, we're using the word should. You should talk to a debt counselor. He can help you. You should talk to a debt counselor. He can help you. Okay, let's look at number 3. Can you suggest a nice restaurant? It's my wife's birthday. Okay, now this question's a little different. This question is not asking for advice. It's asking for a suggestion. A suggestion is almost like, can you give me some examples? Okay, choices. So can you give me, can you make, based on your opinion, what restaurants do you like? Which one do you think I could go to? Okay, so can you suggest? So this is telling me it's not asking for advice. I need to use the word could. You could try Chow's, or how about Anita's? So there's 2 suggestions here, right? You could try this place or you could try this place, right? You could try, not you should, right? You could try. Okay, let's look at number 4. It's my niece's 16th birthday next week. What could I get her? Okay, so this is also a could, right? A suggestion. This is asking for a suggestion. And the answer also has 2 suggestions. Why don't you get tickets to a concert? Or you could buy her a CD. You could buy her a CD. Okay, let's look at number 5. That vocational school is very expensive. I can't afford it. Can you give me any advice? Well, you're a good student. I think what should I do? What's the question ask? Can you give me any advice? This means I want you to tell me, what should I do? Right? What should I do? When somebody asks you, can you give me advice? What they want to know is, what should I do? So the answer, I think you should apply for a scholarship. I think you should apply for a scholarship. Okay, we're going to do a few more, but I'd like you to try these on your own. So look at number 6. I'm not going to tell you the answer. I want you to answer this on your own. I need a new car. Where do you suggest I look for one? How about looking in the newspaper? Or you look online. Okay. And number 7, I just got another parking ticket. It's getting harder and harder to park in this neighborhood. I think you sell that car. You don't really need it. I think that one's a little tricky, number 7. Think about that. Is the person asking for advice? Is the person asking for suggestions? Is the person answering, offering suggestion or advice? Okay, and the last one. I'm going to be in New York City in July. Any ideas for things to do? Well, you see a Broadway show, or you walk in the Central Park, or you go to a museum. There are so many things to do. I think you know that one. I think you know that there's suggestions being made here, number 8. And what word do you use for suggestions?